There's a moment most men completely misunderstand. It's when the room gets quiet after you walk in, when a woman holds eye contact just a second too long, then looks away. When people act slightly different around you and you can't explain why. You think something's wrong, so you try to fix it. You talk more. You over-engage. You chase a reaction. And in doing that, you erase the very tension that created attraction in the first place. Because those moments weren't signs of rejection, they were signs of pressure. There are 7 signals women and people give when they sense your value. And if you don't recognize them, you'll keep giving away power you didn't even know you had. If you've ever felt people act off around you and couldn't explain why, it's not random. There's a pattern behind it. If you want to understand how women actually read your presence, hit like, subscribe, and let's break down exactly what you've been missing. Number 1. The room goes quiet when you enter. Most men feel this and immediately get uncomfortable. You walk in, and suddenly, the energy dips. Conversations pause. People glance, then look at each other. And instead of holding that moment, you try to fill it. You start talking more than usual. You laugh a little louder. You try to smooth it out. Let me be direct with you. That silence is not rejection. It's attention shifting. There's a concept in psychology called the halo effect, first introduced by Edward Thorndike back in 1920. It describes how people automatically assign positive traits to someone based on a strong initial impression, how they look, how they carry themselves, the energy they bring into a space. In other words, when you walk in and the room goes quiet, people aren't disconnecting from you. They're recalibrating around you, and women feel this faster than men. A woman doesn't need you to speak to assess your presence. She scans. She observes. She reads your posture, your pace, your emotional control. If you stand out, she doesn't rush in. She pulls back slightly and watches. That's silence you feel. It's not emptiness. It's pressure. It's the room waiting to see what you're going to do with it. But here's where most men collapse. They mistake that pressure for a problem that needs fixing. So they start performing. They over-explain. They over-engage. They try to prove they belong in a space they've already been accepted into. And the moment you do that, something shifts. You go from being the center of attention to someone asking for it. The strongest men don't break silence. They hold it. They understand that presence doesn't need noise. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't chase reactions. It creates them. So the next time you feel that room go quiet when you walk in, don't rush to fill it. Don't try to earn your place. Because the moment you try to prove you belong, you show you don't. Number 2, she holds eye contact, then looks away. You've seen this before. You catch her looking at you. Not just a quick glance, but a second too long. There's a moment there, a pause, and then suddenly she looks away. Maybe at her phone, maybe at her drink. Maybe she pretends like it never happened. And if you're like most men, you misread it instantly. You assume she lost interest. You assume you made it awkward. So you look away too. You disengage. You shrink the moment before it has a chance to grow. But that's not what just happened. What you just witnessed is tension. And tension is the beginning of attraction. When a woman holds eye contact with you longer than normal, she's opening a channel. She's checking if you're aware enough to notice and confident enough to hold it. But the moment you catch her, something shifts inside her as well. She becomes aware that you see her, and that creates exposure. Now she's not just observing you, you're observing her. And that level of mutual awareness makes most women slightly uncomfortable. Not because they're uninterested, but because they feel it. So she looks away. Not to reject you, but to regulate the moment. This is where the silent test happens. If you break eye contact first, if you look down, if you retreat, you communicate something without saying a word. You tell her you're not comfortable being seen. You tell her you don't fully believe you deserve that attention. And the tension dies right there. But if you hold it calmly, without forcing anything, without overreacting, you shift the dynamic. Now she feels it more than you do. That subtle smirk, that stillness, that lack of urgency. It tells her everything she needs to know. You're not chasing the moment. You're allowing it, and that's what pulls her in. So understand this clearly. She didn't look away because she lost interest. She looked away because she felt it. Number 3, she compliments your vibe, not your looks. She doesn't say you're handsome. She doesn't talk about your style, your body, or anything surface level. Instead, she says things like, "There's something different about you." Or, "I feel really comfortable talking to you." Or the one most men completely overlook, "You have a really good energy." And this is where a lot of men get it wrong. They downplay it. They laugh it off. They assume she's just being polite. They brush it aside because it doesn't sound like a direct compliment. But what she's telling you in that moment is far more valuable than anything physical. Because attraction has levels. At the surface level, it's about how you look. Anyone can trigger that. It's fast, it's common, and it fades just as quickly. But when a woman starts talking about your vibe, she's reacting to something deeper. She's responding to how you make her feel. Your composure. Your emotional control. The way you don't rush, don't force, don't seek approval. That combination creates something rare for her. A sense of safety without losing tension. And that's powerful. Because from a psychological standpoint, women are not just drawn to excitement, they're drawn to emotional regulation. According to attachment theory, originally developed by John Bowlby, people form attraction based on how secure they feel in someone's presence. Not safe as in boring, safe as in grounded, stable, in control. When she says you're easy to talk to, she's not saying you're simple. She's saying she doesn't feel pressure around you. She doesn't feel like she has to perform. And that's what allows attraction to deepen. But here's the mistake most men make. They hear that, and they minimize it. They respond with, "I'm nothing special," or "I'm just being myself." And in doing that, they collapse the very thing she's reacting to. Because the moment you downplay your presence, you signal uncertainty. You take something that felt intentional and turn it into something accidental. And attraction doesn't grow around accidents. So listen carefully. When she compliments your vibe, she's not describing you. She's describing how you make her feel. And if you don't recognize that, you'll never understand why she was drawn to you in the first place. Number 4, men either respect you or compete with you. Watch how other men behave around you. Not what they say, but how they adjust. Some of them will naturally align. They'll introduce you to others. They'll include you in conversations. They'll treat you with a level of respect that feels almost automatic. And then there's the other type. The ones who suddenly get louder when you speak. The ones who interrupt, who try to top your stories, who shift the focus back onto themselves the moment you gain attention. Most men take this personally. They think, this guy doesn't like me. Or they feel the need to respond, to prove something, to win the moment. But you're missing what's actually happening. This isn't about liking or disliking you. This is about hierarchy. Men are wired to read status instantly. And when they sense someone who carries presence, someone who doesn't chase attention but naturally holds it, they react. They either align with it or they challenge it. And here's the part most men never see. This dynamic becomes even more intense when women are present. Because now it's not just about status, it's about perception. When a man tries to outshine you in front of a woman, he's not just talking to you. He's performing for her. He's trying to reposition himself as the dominant presence in the room. But here's where it flips. Women don't just listen to what men say. They watch how men behave around other men. If one man stays grounded while another becomes reactive, loud, or attention-seeking, she reads that instantly. Calm is power. Reaction is weakness. So when you stay composed, when you don't engage in the competition, when you let him overextend himself, you don't lose. You become the reference point, the standard. And she feels that without you saying a word. This is what's called indirect validation. You're not proving your value to her directly. She's seeing it reflected through the behavior of others. And that kind of validation is far stronger than anything you could say. But the moment you react, argue, compete, try to dominate, you collapse that advantage. Now you're just another man seeking approval. So understand this clearly. The louder he tries to beat you, the clearer it is you've already won. Number 5. Women find reasons to be near you. She doesn't walk up and say she's interested. She doesn't make it obvious. Instead, she places herself around you. You're at a bar, and suddenly she's standing next to you, even though there's space everywhere else. You're in a group conversation, and she gradually shifts closer. You move to a different spot, and a few minutes later, she somehow ends up there too. And most men dismiss this completely. They tell themselves it's coincidence. They assume it doesn't mean anything, so they do nothing. But that's not how women operate. A woman rarely approaches directly, not because she can't, but because she doesn't need to. She creates opportunities instead. Subtle openings. Situations where interaction can happen if you recognize it. This is what you're seeing when she moves into your space. It's not random. It's intentional positioning. From a psychological standpoint, proximity is one of the strongest indicators of interest. People naturally move closer to what they feel drawn to. And when a woman chooses to enter your physical space, she's lowering the distance between you without saying a word. She's giving you access, but access alone doesn't create attraction. Your response does, and this is where most men fail. They hesitate. They overthink. They wait for something more obvious. They're looking for a signal that feels safe. But attraction doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards awareness. Because in her mind, she's already done her part. She placed herself within your reach. She opened the door. Now she's watching to see if you'll step through it, or stand there pretending you don't see it. And when you don't act, she doesn't chase harder. She withdraws. Not because she lost interest, but because you didn't meet her where she was. So the next time a woman finds her way into your space, don't brush it off. Don't wait for a clearer sign, because she doesn't walk into your space by accident. She's waiting to see if you'll claim it. Number 6. People assume you have options. You'll hear it in subtle ways. I bet you say that to every girl. You must be talking to a lot of women. Or the tone shifts, like she's slightly more cautious, slightly more invested, even though you haven't done anything different. And most men respond the wrong way. They try to correct it. They say, no, it's not like that. They reassure, they explain. They try to prove they're not that guy. But the moment you do that, you lower your value. Because what she's reacting to isn't what you said. It's how you carry yourself. When you're not chasing validation, when you're not over-explaining, when your attention feels measured instead of unlimited, it creates a perception that you have options. And perception drives attraction. There's a principle in behavioral psychology called the scarcity effect, studied extensively by Robert Cialdini. It shows that people assign more value to things that appear limited or less accessible. The same applies to you. When your time, your energy, your attention don't feel freely available, people assume they're valuable. Not because you said it, but because you live it. And that assumption changes how she interacts with you. Now, she's not just engaging, she's evaluating. She's wondering where she stands. She's paying more attention to your responses. She's investing more because it doesn't feel guaranteed. That tension is what creates attraction. But most men destroy it. They become too available. They respond instantly. They give more attention than they receive. And without realizing it, they remove the very thing that made them desirable. Because when access is easy, value drops. So understand this. You don't need to prove you have options. You need to stop behaving like you don't. Because the moment you become easy to access, you become easy to replace. Number 7. She mirrors your body language. You lean back. She leans back. You slow down your movements. She slows down too. You take a sip of your drink. A few seconds later, she does the same. It looks subtle, almost invisible if you're not paying attention, but it's one of the clearest signals you can get. Because this isn't conscious behavior. She's not thinking about it. Her body is responding before her mind has time to analyze. This is what psychologists call nonverbal synchrony. In a study by Chartrand and Barg in 1999, researchers found that people naturally mimic the behavior of those they feel connected to or attracted to, without realizing it. In simple terms, when someone starts matching your movements, it means they're aligning with you. And alignment only happens when there's a leader. That's the part most men don't understand. They think attraction is about doing more, saying more, performing better. But real attraction shows up when you do less, and she adjusts to you. When your energy is grounded, when your movements are controlled, when you're not rushing or seeking reactions, she begins to sync with your pace. Not because you asked her to, but because she feels it. And this is where the dynamic becomes clear. The one who sets the rhythm leads the interaction. The one who follows adapts. So if she's mirroring you, if her body is subtly matching yours, if her energy starts to align with yours, you're not chasing attraction. You're creating it. But again, most men miss this. They overthink it. They try to force behaviors. They start acting instead of being. And the moment you become artificial, the alignment breaks. Because mirroring only happens when your presence feels real, not performed. So instead of trying to control the interaction, focus on controlling yourself, your pace, your posture, your emotional state, because everything you don't say, she's already responding to. And when you step back and look at all of this, the silence, the eye contact, the proximity, the way people react, the way she moves around you, it all points to one thing. You already have influence. You're already affecting the room. The only problem is, you don't recognize it. And because you don't recognize it, you keep leaking it. Trying to do more, trying to prove more, trying to earn something that was already there. But you're not trying to become high value. You're trying to stop losing it. Attraction doesn't work the way most men think it does. It's not logical. It's not something you negotiate or explain your way into. It's felt. Quietly, instinctively, in the space between what's said and what isn't. And everything you've seen in this video, the silence when you walk in, the eye contact she breaks, the way people react around you, the way she moves closer without saying a word, none of that is random. Those are responses to presence, to control, to something you're already carrying. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't lose attraction because you lack value. You lose it because you don't recognize it. And you start behaving like someone who doesn't have it. You talk too much when you should stay still. You pull back when you should hold your ground. You give more when you should observe. And slowly, without realizing it, you erase the very tension that made you attractive in the first place. So let me reframe this for you. If you recognized yourself in even 2 or 3 of these signs, you're not behind. You're ahead of most men. The difference is, they don't even get to that position. But being in that position isn't enough. You have to own it. Because if you keep seeking validation, if you keep reacting instead of holding frame, you will lose something most men never even experience. And you won't even know when it happened. Power isn't something you chase. It's something you stop giving away. If this hit you, drop a comment and tell me which sign you've experienced without understanding it. Subscribe if you're ready to see women and yourself more clearly. And share this with someone who's been giving away their advantage without even realizing it.